Alright, well now we have a problem that asks us to solve an equation, but instead of just solving it, we actually have to write it. So let's see what it says. It says Al charges $300 and $10 per hour. Ted charges $420 and $6 per hour. After how many hours? Now this is key. It's always important to be able to figure out what the question is, because that helps us figure out what we should put as our variable. So our variable is going to end up being the number of hours it's going to take Al and Ted to charge the same amount. And so let's take a look at what we might end up doing for our problem here. And the first thing I'm going to do is take a look at just writing down their names. Al, and since they're going to be charged the same, that tells me that I need to have an equal sign. Al needs to equals, Al's cost needs to equal Ted's cost. That's what I'm trying to do. So now I need to come up with an equation for Al. Well, let's see what we've got here. Al has a $300 charge. He's always going to charge that, no matter what. No matter if he works 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, doesn't matter. So that's our constant. So we'll start with that, $300. Now it says and just means plus. So we're going to add another cost. Well, the other cost is $10 per hour. But this per hour means that we don't know how many hours he's going to work. And if you look at the question, it asks for how many hours. We don't know how many hours. So we have to use a variable like h. So I'm going to take the $10 and I'm going to multiply it by the number of hours. And what that will give me is the cost. It'll give me dollars, and I'll be able to add it to that 300. Now on the other side, I'm going to do Ted's charge. Well, his charge is similar, except it's a little bit more, $420. And, so again, that and means just that I'm going to add another cost. And the other cost is $6 per hour. But again, it's per hour. So I don't know how many hours I'm going to use it for. And I want those hours to eventually be the same for the two. So I'm just going to put 6h. So now we've got an equation, and we can solve. And so the way we're going to solve this is just using opposite operations. So first step here is to get the variables by themselves. So what I might end up doing is moving the h term to the left-hand side. So I'm going to cancel it out on the right-hand side here and move it over to the left-hand side. And so when I do that, I end up now still with this 300, but a positive 4h. And this all equals 420. So now I need to move the constant, the 300, to the other side. So basically I'm subtracting the two persons' initial charges. I'm subtracting Al's charge from Ted's charge to find out what is the difference between the two. And that difference, well, is 120 when you do that subtraction. So what we need to write down is to bring down this 4h, and we need to bring down the difference of those two, which we said was 120. So basically what we've done is we've taken away Al's charge from Ted's charge to find the difference, and also we took away Ted's dollars per hour charge, his variable cost, from Al's variable cost. And what we're left with is 4h equals 120. So what we're going to do from here is just opposite operations again, divide by 4. And that gives us our value. It gives us the number of hours, because that's what h represents. So when I do that division, I end up with 4 to 12 goes 3 times, and I just carry down that 0. So 30 hours. It's always real important to write down those units that we're dealing with. Well, that's the number of hours, but we've got another question. What is the cost? that they charge after those 30 hours? Well, all we're going to do is take this 30 and substitute it. And we've got a choice. We could either put it in for that h there or this h here. Either way, we're going to end up with the same answer. And we'll go ahead and do both just to show you that we do end up with the same answer. So I'll go ahead and substitute that 30 in for these h's, and this is what I've got now. I've got 300, and then I bring down that plus sign, the 10, but instead of h, I'm going to write down 30. And we'll see that when we go ahead and do the other one, we have 420 plus 6 times by 30. And so when we go ahead and do some work there, go ahead and multiply these two terms first, multiply those two terms, and when we do that, well, we still have this 300, and we're going to end up adding 300 as well here. This 30 times by 10 makes the 300. On the other side, we still have this 420, but we go ahead and multiply the 6 and the 30, we get up 180. And when we go ahead and add these numbers together, that 300 and the 300, and we add the 420 and the 180, well, we end up with the same numbers. We end up with $600. So either way you do it, you're still going to end up with the same amount. $600 for Al's cost, which is going to equal $600 for Ted's cost. So the cost that they have when they're the same is $600. The time in which they will charge the same is 30 hours. And that gives you an idea about what you're going to end up seeing on day 18's